What's going on, it's the RapNerd, and if you are part of the horror community, you know that the latest Texas Chainsaw Massacre just dropped last Friday. So with me sitting with it for some time and playing with a lot of thoughts in my head and speaking to the horror community because this movie has caused a whole lot of discourse, I figured I might as well make my ranking of all of these movies. There are 9 of them, and I think for the most part I'll say overall that they're pretty much, you can find some entertainment in each one, but there's some that I like less, and for that being said, let's just get into it. Forget all the talking. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. So, at number 9 is Leatherface. Came out in 2017, and this movie is pretty much the origin story of Leatherface and his family and how they came to be. I don't really like this one like that. I don't hate it, but it's not one that I go out my way to watch. To be honest, I haven't watched it since I saw it because I just really wasn't feeling it like that, you know. The story is about, Leatherface before he is who he is, before he even finds his family. Honestly, he's he's not a he's a prisoner, and he ends up finding, kind of gaining a relationship with another prisoner, and they try to escape the police because the police are dirty, and it's a cat and mouse hunt of the prisoners and the police officers, and it's just like, I feel like they went the Joker route. This is before Joker, but it's just like trying to, give reasoning why Leatherface became Leatherface, and I'm just not a fan of that. Like when you try to make the villain a hero, sometimes it's just like, and don't take it wrong, they didn't make him a hero at all, but I'm just saying, giving him that type of reasoning as to why, I just really wasn't a fan of it, especially the loop they pulled at the end when one character was actually Leatherface that you really didn't think would be Leatherface. And I was just like, I could pass on that one. So at the bottom of the list, that's number 9. Next on the list, I'm going to pair these two together because I have to in my head, just to get the message out and convey both of them. But at number 8 and 7 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 and 4. So I have 8 as Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4 and number 7 as Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, but they kind of swapped, or they kind of interchanged, and I want to give them both, put them both together to tell you why. I actually remember Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4 more than I do 3, but I think 3 is a better movie, if that makes sense. And I'll explain why. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4 stars Matthew McConaughey, and he is fucking nuts in this movie. Like, he is the most memorable thing about this movie. It's like he just sniffed a line of cocaine before every scene. Like, he is hamming it up, and I feel like for that alone you should watch this movie. And the reason why I put number 3 before it is because outside of Matthew McConaughey, this movie just copies number 3. The premise of somebody on a road trip, their car breaks down, they end up looking for help in the backwoods of Texas, and they end up running into Leatherface and his family. And again, the premise of 3, they just rehashed the same thing in number 4, but 4 has, like, with Matthew McConaughey being so over the top, I remember that shit. And then especially at with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4, they interject a lot of stuff that's not needed to try and, I guess, make it be deeper than what it is. That doesn't really quite pay off. Like, there's this line that's like, one of the Matthew McConaughey's characters, I guess girlfriend, I don't even know what the fuck she is to him, because he treats everybody poorly in this movie. So she's like, he works for the government, whatever they want done, they just send him to do it. And at the time you're kind of like, what? But they play on that later on in the film, and it doesn't quite pay off, so it's just like, what the fuck is going on? So that's why I have it at number 8. And again, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 is pretty much the same movie, same premise, but it doesn't have as big as a standout character as Matthew McConaughey. You know what I mean? So I have to pair those two together, because honestly I don't really remember a lot from the third one because of 4. So at number 8 I have Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4, New Generation, and then at 7 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Now, number 6 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, which came out in 2013. Now, honestly, this movie gets a lot of slack, and I'm aware, because it's not the best movie. My wife doesn't like this movie at all either. But, man, I would be lying if I say I don't have so much fun with this movie. Like, I probably watch this one the most out of this entire list, just because of how much fun I have with it. It's so of the time. I don't know if it was because 2013 was my college, was part of my college years, and it just reminded me of when we used to go on road trips with me and my wife, or just me and my homies just going somewhere. But it's pretty much the story of this girl who gets a letter from, I guess, a family member letting her know who her mother really is, and they're giving her the Hewitt house, pretty much, right? And she goes there, with a group of friends. They make a road trip out of it. They want to, party and all this other crazy shit. And when they get there, she just finds out that she actually is Leatherface's cousin, right? And that just causes a whole bunch of shit going on in the little town. And this is like a direct sequel to the 74 one, and I think the way they put them together, I think it's pretty well, the way they spliced them together, even though certain things don't really make sense, because if the girl was supposed to be a little baby back then, how was she still a 20-year-old? But anyway, like I said, there's mad logic and plot holes in this movie, but goddamn is it fun. I'm not gonna front. My favorite line in that movie: "Do your thing, cuz." Like, you can't beat that. Like, come on, you can't beat that. So at number 6, I have 2013. Like, I can't front. So bad it's good. I love it. Now at number 5, I have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, the one that just came out. Again, I have a lot of fun with this movie. Like, to me, it reminds me of a better version of the 2013 one, and I already know I'm gonna watch this one a lot. Like, this is just a classic, fun, dumb horror movie, man. Like, it's just fun. Like, I'm not going to re-explain the movie, but clearly, if you've seen it, like, it is what it is. It's a group of kids who come to this abandoned city, and they fuck around with Leatherface's house, and his mom dukes, and he's retaliating. Like, it don't get much better than that. And then the kills are brutal. Like I said, it's a run-of-the-mill slasher, but I just enjoy it because it while it is in your face, just not too much going on, I think they really, really went out their way to make some great kills, and I really, really love it. And even with the underlining thing that they do, I do like the fact that this is pretty much a story of gentrification gone wrong. A lot of times they make gentrification seem like it only happens to black people or other people of color, where the richer people come in, swoop in, and buy all the property. But no, that shit happens everywhere. It happens in the country too, and that's pretty much what happens. And keep your nose out of people's businesses, and that's kind of the moral of Texas Chainsaw Massacre for me, personally. So number 5, I got the 2022 version. At number 4, I have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning, and this is kind of the prequel to the 03 movie. And just to put that out there, 03 is at number 3. 03 is the remake, so it's the prequel to that. And again, I think it's one of the best remakes done ever. It's brutal, it's dark, it's gritty. It's pretty much the first one. Like, honestly, like it's the same movie as 03, but just the origins of how 03 came to be who it is. So that's at 4. And then number 3 is 2003, and this one is a remake of 74, right? And this is just one of the best remakes ever. It gets the 74 one down pat and just recreates it in 2003, and they do it perfectly. I mean, like, there's no complaint. I mean, they make the family more sadistic. Leatherface is fucking just as scary. I love the callbacks. I love everything that they did with this movie. That the performances are great. I love the change of the hitchhiker being different. Like, she actually got away and killed herself in the car, and it just, for me personally, it adds, again, more reasoning as to why the things are happening. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just, oh, they pull up somewhere and just want to find something. Oh, we ran out of gas. Blah, blah, blah. No, they have a dead body in their car, and they have to take it to the sheriff because you can't ride around with a dead body. So regardless of what happens, it all leads to that story. Even though they could have avoided everything had they not picked up a hitchhiker, but that's neither here nor there. So 03 is at 3, and it's amazing, yo. Like it's better than it's the best, one of the best remakes out. You know what I mean? Now at the top 2, you pretty much know what they are. The number 2 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and this is a fun ass movie. Oh my god, like I don't see too many people talk about this movie, but it is very fun, man. Like this is, director Toby Hooper taking the first one and just completely doing something different in the 80s. Like this is damn near a horror comedy, but it is so fun. It's about this. It takes place. It's a funny thing. It's a college movie, which makes it even more dope. I am a stickler for college, right? So it's this girl. I think her name is Billie. Is that her name? I think her name is Billie, and she is a radio show host that is over the little town. I forgot the name of the town. It is in Texas, of course, but she's over there. She is a radio host for the college town and for the city, and she's on her way home, and she sees a murder happen because it's these kids, these college kids riding on the street, and Leatherface and his brother just fucking kill the shit out of him. And she finds out about it, and she tries to get the police force on it, and what ends up happening is Leatherface and his brother come find her ass for it, and it just makes for a nice cat and mouse game. And it is like I said, it's fun. You have to watch this movie. Like it is a fun ride from start to finish. It almost reminds me of something that you would see in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Kind of like, if I had to pick one, maybe Elm Street 2 is what it reminds me of, as far as like the vibe and kind of the energy I get. So if you like Elm Street 2, which that's a great movie too, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is not far from there. It's a completely different tone. It's funny. It's fun. It's still just as gory. And Billie's one of the most likable characters in the whole franchise. Like seriously, deadass. She is like an incredible performer, and probably is one of the most memorable characters outside of Leatherface in here. So, number 1, we all know Texas Chainsaw Massacre 74 changed the whole outlook of what horror films were at the time. Pretty much said, I don't care about restrictions, let's just make some shit that's gonna slap, and let's go make some shit that scares some people. And to this day, it's still one of the scariest horror films ever created, you know what I mean? Easily. And there's so many things that you could take away from this film. I've seen a lot of stretches on what it represents, but for me personally, being from the South and seeing, having a family in these kind of areas, it just speaks to desperation. That's what I feel. Desperate times just make for crazy ass people, and that's just what it is for me. And it has some of the best practical effects. It's literally gory without being gory, which is funny because in today's time, this movie's not that gory at all. You see minimal actual gore, but the way it's presented, it's so terrifying, and it's terrifyingly real too. The performances feel real. You can get a sense of the hot ass Texas sun, and it's terrifying. Like I said, the first kill that actually happens is one of the scariest things to be captured on film. And when I first saw it as a kid, that scared the shit out of me because I've never seen anybody get killed like that in such a realistic way. Like he just pops out, hits him with the hammer, body drops, and he's just shaking. Like scary shit, yo. So there's nothing that I can say about Texas Chainsaw Massacre that hasn't been said. I mean, we all know this is the start and the foundation of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I will say, which is weird to me, and speaking on the discourse I've seen with the newer version, it's just a lot of experts came out of nowhere in regards to this movie. I've rarely seen anybody mention these movies in general. Like I've seen the first one is, that's a staple in the community. People talk about that one, but it's just like the rest of them, I've never seen anybody talk about any other ones. You know what I mean? So it's weird for me to see people like, talk about the 2022 version, like, oh, it's taken away from the franchise. And I'm like, bro, I ain't seen nobody talk about none of these other movies outside of the first one. Like, what? But anyway, that's my list right there. I enjoy this franchise. I can't say it's my favorite, but there are some in here that I watch a lot. Anyway, let me know your list in the comments. Where do you have them at? What do you think about 2022, of course? And if you like my content, please like, subscribe, and until next time, peace.